Okay, I'll call the meeting to order. We are about 5 minutes late, but that's the nature of things. So, welcome to the emergency meeting of the Temple Terrace City Council on Friday, October 24th. The purpose of this meeting is threefold. It is to add a contract for an additional debris contractor to augment our efforts. It is then to revise the existing contract with our current vendor. And then it is also a resolution to allow the city manager to amend these contracts in the future for this storm season. And so I'll turn it over at this time to Mr. Bayer. Do you want to explain further?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, members of council. So as you know, and the public is probably aware, there is a significant amount of debris, not just in Temple Terrace, but throughout all of Hillsborough County and Pinellas County and portions of Pasco as well, stemming from Hurricanes Helene and Hurricane Milton. We had a contractor that was under contract stemming from an original agreement dating back to 2023. That contractor has been working here in the city, but there has been a concern about the pay that was approved in the original agreement, the pay scale throughout the county because of a myriad of factors. The fact that we had back-to-back storms has basically exacerbated and overheated this marketplace. So we've had other communities now increase what they were paying for debris contractor services. And a lot of times they're the same contractors that other communities are using. In our case, for example, Terrace is being used by the county and probably by other municipalities as well. And so that has been an ongoing concern. We know that we have some tools at our disposal to address that, but to be very candid, we are in an emergency situation here for the public's health and safety. We have debris covering sidewalks. We have debris near intersections where there are sight lines obstructed. We have potential other storms that may be in the wind approaching us, so we want to get this debris out as quickly as possible. So because of that, we've taken a few steps. The first item on your, actually, if you don't mind, I'm going to address all three at once. So the first item is actually we're retaining another contractor to have additional trucks in the field. This contractor has agreed to work for us. They are a national contractor. They are the rate that they are seeking for hauling of debris is $17 a cubic yard, which is significant. But that is the rate we understand that Pasco County is about to enter into agreements for as well, based on a bid that they put out. And the way this is, for the public's edification, the way this is working out right now, the marketplace is generating a demand that is triggering these escalation of costs. So I want to make sure the council understands, as well as the public, that 100% of the cost for this debris removal is reimbursable from FEMA. So the challenge becomes we will have to upfront that cash. We are in good shape, as the council knows from our budget workshops. We have a very healthy unassigned fund balance. I believe it's in the area of about $20 million right now that we have in unassigned fund balance. So we have the cash on hand to address this, and we should be reimbursed from FEMA within hopefully a matter of less than a year this time for this storm, as that process has improved dramatically. So SDR has their contract here before us. The current contractor, Terrace, the one that was on board earlier and was asking for additional funding, we will do the same thing that Hillsborough County does. Hillsborough County has 4 debris removal contractors. They pay everybody the same rate. We're going to do the same thing here. We are proposing to bring the pay level to be the same, the pay sheets basically for both Terrace and SDR. Again, that will mean that we get the trucks in and hopefully start hauling more and more of this debris quicker out to our sites. The third item before you is if we were still in a state of emergency, like the county is, the county is able to negotiate and address these changing marketplace items with these, for example, debris removal contracts in a very quick manner. They can do it administratively. Because of the unique orientation of how we do our ordinance and the pay provisions associated with this, we're not in the state of emergency anymore here. Formally, even though the reality is we're still dealing with the aftermath of an emergency. So what I'm asking for is your approval through the third resolution so that I can address these debris management contracts with my staff. And I would report to you whatever we would do. So if we hire a third contractor, for example, or replace a contractor, or we had to modify what we're paying, I would report that immediately to the entire council, make that very public. And then we document that also for FEMA purposes. So that would be the authorization I'm seeking. That would be for the remainder of this hurricane season. Could go beyond the hurricane season if, for example, we still have lingering payment issues and debris after November 30th, but it would be stemming from this particular season. I'm happy to answer any questions.
Thank you, Mr. Baya. Council members?
Yes.
Yes, Councilmember Fernandez.
So in the resolution for the contract for the new debris hauler, it says that it would be a 6-month contract. So I just, out of curiosity, I just wondered why we would want to have a 6-month contract when the storm season will end in November, and then even if there's debris, we'd probably be finished by December.
So I think typically you want to address it? Okay. I'll ask Mr. Warrenfeld to come up.
Councilmembers. Jason Morenfelds, Public Works Director. The 6-month expiration date on that contract is going to be in line with the extensions that will probably happen with this storm. The 90-day period will expire on January 7th. There's an expectation that there will be a 90-day extension after that. So 6 months, we should be outside of that window, but that's why I went to 6 months and not just 2 months to get to the end of the storm season.
Okay, and I have a question about the price. So I understand that the city will be reimbursed from FEMA for whatever we spend for this process. However, FEMA is still a tax-funded entity, even though it's not city taxes. Our residents are paying taxes to FEMA, and I feel like we still have a duty to try to keep expenses to a reasonable level. What happens when another jurisdiction comes in and says, well, we're going to pay $25 a cubic ton or yard, whatever the...
Yes, ma'am. So that's an excellent question. It's something we have been discussing at length for the last several days here as well. And I've talked to the county administrator's office at Hillsborough County, as well as their procurement officer. So because of the way this storm season has evolved, with those 2 big storms hitting us in a very short period of time, it has magnified certain issues, certain challenges that we perhaps didn't have before. This is one of them. In fact, you have an entire region all looking for the same resources. And what we've talked about with our colleagues at the county earlier today was, I think for next year and going forward, we may want to look at a more collective approach to do this, where maybe all of us, the 3 municipalities in the county, get together and we approach debris removal and the contracts for debris removal as a single entity. And whatever form that takes, I don't really know yet at this point, but we'd have a lot more buying power that way. The county has over 1,000 employees easily, and they could facilitate that sort of conversation, that process, much more than if we were all operating individually. I know for a fact, because this was confirmed this afternoon, that Plant City had very similar challenges to the city of Temple Terrace in terms of contractors that had existing contracts, and then the rate is changed dramatically, and so they were concerned about the same things that we were. So those are the conversations. I think we're going to be talking a lot about that with our peers once this storm season ends. At this point right now, we have debris, and we need to address the debris. So we're going to do that. I appreciate, and I think we all do, that these are taxpayer dollars. One way or another, the U.S. taxpayers is footing the bill for this. But from our local property tax perspective, we will get these dollars back. So from that perspective, there is some relief, but we want to make sure this can be done in a better format in the future.
Okay, and I just have one more question about...
Can I inject a comment before, and I'll turn it back
Yes.
to you?
Yep.
Because it's on the same topic. So earlier today, I had a conversation with Senator Collins, State Senator Jay Collins, and Jane Castor and I were having a conversation with him about this very issue, and the debris haulers saying, okay, well, I can get $18 here, I can get, this is not a Temple Terrace problem, this is a statewide problem. This is what they're doing, is they're going, okay, well, the highest bidder, and I can go over to Hillsborough County and haul all that stuff for twice what you're paying. The state is aware of this. Senator Collins said they're already, he did make me feel a little better, because he told me the going rate right now is about 18.75, so even our new rates are 17, which is better than what the Attorney General, Ashley Mooney, is involved is aware of this also. So there's some action at the state level also to try to figure out what measures can be taken to keep this bidding war from happening next year. So they don't have that all worked out yet, but that's underway at the state level also.
Perfect.
And you still have the floor, I'm sorry.
And so my question is about the volume of debris. And I know that we have, so our pricing in here, some of it is based on distance that the debris needs to be hauled. And do we have space at the places that our debris haulers are going to be putting it? And then what happens to it after the debris is left at those locations?
Jason, you may want to, I can wing it, but you're much better at this.
So the Harney Road site, the 7911 Harney Road, is the main site right now where the debris is being hauled. That site may not be able to handle what's in the streets currently. Carlos and I are working with the school board to obtain a location that would be an additional site to take on more debris. So when that debris, when it's all collected from the street, it'll be ground down into shavings and then hauled off to disposal sites. So the pricing that you see, and I'm going to go down this road just a little bit, but the pricing you see is the cubic yards to get it to the site, and then there's additional pricing that will grind it down, and then there's a final haul out price and a disposal fee. So
Can any of this be taken to the trash, to electricity, the incinerator?
So some of the material is considered contaminated based on where it fell in the street, oils. Unfortunately, it could have been the sanitary sewer line. You know, there could have been material that came up on the street during the storm. So some of it's considered contaminated. That's why the final product is hauled off to a disposal site. The answer is, back to your question about to the incinerator, the bag debris at this point that's where it's going. We have collected some of those because our haulers are not equipped to rip every bag and determine if it's garbage or if it's yard debris. So we're doing that. The sanitation crew is doing that. That stuff is being hauled to the incinerator.
Okay. I guess the only other question I would have is, do you have an estimated timeline as to when people might see their debris picked up?
I do not. Honestly, the haulers are working in 4 zones in the city. There's about 60 sections in those 4 zones. We are giving them sections to work through at a time. And to be very honest with you, there's one section in the northwest part of the city. They've been there 9 days. So there's that much volume of debris in just that one section. And then there's 4 other sections that completed in 3 days. So I cannot speculate when somebody in zone 4 in one particular section will be picked up. We have scattered the trucks through the city, and we're trying to collect in the 4 different zones at the same time.
But if I could just add a little bit to that. So, and Jason, correct me if I'm wrong, but if council approves this SDR contract today, they'll be on the street on Sunday, correct? That's still the case?
So the trucks, they will be here being certified on Sunday. They should hit the street actively on Monday, unless the certification happens early in the morning, then potentially they could be out.
Okay, so we'll have additional trucks, so that will help with that pace. I think what Jason is we don't really have, there's no possible way for us to say definitively, yes, it'll all be done by October, whatever the date is, or October 31st or something like that. That's everybody's effort. That's why we're having an emergency meeting today, in part, is to make sure we can keep ahead of this and try to get it addressed as soon as we can. And we also have our own city crews in the meantime, besides doing sanitation or streets, where they have time, we're assigning them to go and drive a grapple truck and pick up debris also. But they've been working nonstop for weeks now, so we're cognizant of that as well, so they do need a break. But everybody's mind is on debris right now. That, I can assure you, that's what we need to get it out.
And one additional comment with that is the governor has put an executive order out indicating that the debris should be picked up in 90 days from the date of the storm. So that's where the January 7th date comes in. Right now, with the amount of debris we have and the current contractor that we have, additional trucks will only help us meet that deadline.
Thank you.
Councilmember Chambers, did you say that? No questions? Other questions? I have a couple questions for the deputy city attorneys. Two of these resolutions have involved the contracts and have signature lines for me. The third one that empowers the city manager to make further actions on his own doesn't. Should it have a signature line also, or is that the way it's supposed to be?
It has it on the back.
Maybe just
Has them on the back? Okay, never mind. Stupid question.
on the back.
Okay. Second question for you relating to the contract ones. Has this been reviewed by you?
Yes, it's been reviewed.
That both of them have been reviewed, they've gone through legal, okay, good. In that case, we need, 3 different motions because we have 3 different resolutions. So, council members, what's your wish?
I can do the first one. Move to approve the resolution authorizing the city manager to execute a 6-month agreement with SDR CDR Disaster Recovery LLC for the provision of disaster debris recovery services.
Second.
Motion and a second. Discussion of the resolution. If not, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? No nays. The resolution is adopted. Item B, next resolution.
Move to approve resolution approving the First Amendment to the contract to provide disaster debris removal and disposal services between City of Temple Terrace and Cirrus Environmental Services.
Second.
Motion and a second. Discussion?
I have one question.
Sure. Councilmember Fernandez.
We're amending this contract and we've added a second debris hauler. Are 2 contracts enough, or should we be looking at additional debris haulers to contract with, in that they could decide to leave at any time? It's like we're amending this one and they'll stay with this amendment, but what if they don't?
What if they don't? Both of them can pull out with notice according to their contracts. So the idea is with the price increase for the Sears contract is so they don't. And by meaning they don't is so the subcontractors that are actually doing the work don't take a higher rate somewhere else and just drive away. And that's what has been happening. Throughout this process, we have 11 trucks from Cirrus right now that are running the streets, but they have rotated. So we've lost probably half of those due to circumstances. Some of it is the rate. There are additional haulers out there. With this rate increase, they're finding that the resources are flocking to this area, and there potentially could be a surplus. So we could need an additional hauler, but at this point, I hope not.
So, and to answer your question also, Councilmember, is the third resolution, if you decide to approve it, is would allow me to do precisely that. So if we felt like there's a need, we're not making enough progress, we can go ahead and get a third, a fourth, or however many we feel could be effective, obviously realizing all these different companies have to go to the same sites, and so that becomes a logistics challenge for us if you have too many. But the county has 4, for example, so there's nothing stopping us from having more than 2. We think 2 would probably be the best approach right now because of how we're laid out in terms of these locations. But if we find that we need to make changes, if you empower me with that ability, we'll make those changes and we'll inform you of that.
Okay. That's it.
Okay, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? No nays. Resolution is adopted. And then the third resolution is designed to address all of your concerns, Councilmember Fernandez.
Move to approve the resolution authorizing the city manager to approve debris management contracts and contract amendments for the duration of the 2024-25 hurricane season. Second.
Motion is second. Discussion?
But my only question is 2024, 2025, is that because of our fiscal year being 2024, 2025?
So, this is a product of the fact that we just did this about 5 minutes ago. So the resolution itself just refers to the 2024 hurricane season. The agenda has 25 in there, so please go with the resolution.
Okay,
It's-
so the 2024 hurricane season.
Correct.
We have a motion, do we have a second?
Second.
Did we have a second already?
Oh, I'm sorry.
Oh, Vice Mayor Abel seconded the discussion. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? No nays. Resolution is adopted. Other business, Mr. Bayou?
No, sir.
Council members, anything else? Directors, you guys doing all right? Thank you again for all your work. This is a long road. I know when the storm passes, everybody is in hurricane mode for about 3 days, and then they're tired of it. And I know that you folks have not slowed down. You're still in hurricane mode. I just want you to know that we know that. And so we appreciate what you're doing, what you continue to do. We all knew when this storm hit, first thing we said was this is going to take a long time, and it is. But we have water, we have electricity, we have groceries at the grocery store, we have roads, we have gasoline, we'll get through. And so appreciate everything you're doing. I know you're continuing to work long hours and 7 days a week, Mr. Warrenfeld, so we thank you for that. All right, we'll be adjourned.
Leave this paper with you. I don't.